Today, we're going to talk about an issue that many lawful permanent residents, people who hold a U.S. green card, worry about all the time. If you leave the United States for an extended period, say more than 6 months, what happens to your green card status? Even more importantly, what happens to your benefits? We're talking about Social Security, SSI, Medicaid, what some folks call the white card, and even food stamps, SNAP benefits. Will they be paused? Will they be canceled altogether? A lot of people have family overseas. Maybe they want to go back home for a while to care for aging parents, help relatives, or simply deal with personal matters. But the moment you start thinking about being away from America for a longer stretch, the questions and the fears kick in. Will my benefits stop? Will I lose my green card? Do I have to start all over again if I come back? Don't worry, I'm going to break all of this down for you step by step, and by the end, you'll have a much clearer picture. First things first, the 6-month rule. There is an unwritten but very real rule in U.S. immigration law, the so-called 6-month rule. If you leave the U.S. for less than 6 months, your trip is generally treated as a short visit abroad. When you come back, immigration officers usually won't give you too much trouble. But if you're gone for more than 6 months but less than a year, things start to change. At that point, immigration officers at Customs and Border Protection may suspect that you're no longer intending to live permanently in the United States. They are legally allowed to question you more thoroughly. They might ask, why did you stay away so long? Do you still have a home here? Do you still keep an American bank account? Are you still working in the U.S., or at least paying taxes here? And importantly, they may require you to provide evidence that you still consider America your permanent home. If you leave the U.S. for more than 1 year, things get even tougher. Unless you applied for a reentry permit before you left, U.S. immigration may consider that you abandoned your green card automatically. The reentry permit, your best friend if you travel often. Let's pause here. If you think you might be gone for an extended time, a reentry permit is an extremely valuable tool. It allows you to stay abroad for up to 2 years without losing your green card. You have to apply before you leave the U.S. by filing Form I-131. The filing fee is usually a little over $500. Now, this permit is not a 100% guarantee. You still have to prove ties to the U.S., but it's one of the strongest shields you have against being accused of abandoning your residency. Now, let's talk about the benefits. This is the part most people care about even more than the green card itself. You worked, you paid into the system, you've qualified for benefits. But can you keep collecting them if you're outside the United States? The answer depends on the program. Social Security retirement benefits. Here's the good news and bad news. The bad news first. For most green card holders who are not U.S. citizens, if you leave the U.S. for more than 6 full calendar months in a row, the Social Security Administration will suspend your payments. That means starting with the 7th month of your absence, your checks will stop. And when you return, you have to be physically back in the U.S. for at least 1 full calendar month before your benefits can restart. For example, if you come back on August 5th, you need to remain in the U.S. for the entire month of September before payments can begin again. Now, the good news. There are very important exceptions, and these exceptions help a lot of people. If you are a citizen of a country that has a Social Security agreement with the United States, you can often continue to receive your Social Security, even while living abroad. Examples include the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, France, Canada, Japan, South Korea, and many others. If you have earned at least 40 Social Security credits, roughly 10 years of work in the U.S., you can also continue to collect your Social Security while abroad, even if you're not a citizen of one of those treaty countries. If you don't have your own work record but are claiming benefits as a spouse, then there's an additional rule. You must have lived in the U.S. for at least 5 years. Let's use an example. John worked in America for 15 years. His wife, Mary, did not work here, but she's entitled to spousal benefits. If they both retire to, say, the UK, John's benefits will continue without issue because he meets the 40 credit requirement. For Mary, the Social Security Administration will check. Did she personally live in the U.S. for at least 5 years? If yes, she keeps receiving benefits abroad. If no, her payments stop after 6 months. Supplemental Security Income, SSI. SSI is much stricter. SSI is designed for low-income seniors and disabled individuals who live in the United States. If you leave the U.S. for 30 days or more, your SSI will be cut off. Period. And you cannot receive SSI payments while living abroad. When you return, you must stay in the U.S. for at least 30 days before your SSI can restart. So if you are on SSI, even short trips can cause interruptions. This is very different from Social Security retirement benefits. Medicaid medical assistance. Medicaid is administered by each state, and rules can vary slightly. But in almost every case, you must be a resident of that state to qualify. If you leave your state for an extended period, or especially if you leave the U.S., the state may decide you are no longer a resident and cancel your Medicaid coverage. Some states even monitor usage. If you haven't used your Medicaid card for several months, they may investigate. When you return, you will likely need to reapply and prove once again that you meet the income, asset, and residency requirements. Food stamps, SNAP. Food stamps are also tied to U.S. residency. If you leave the U.S. for more than a short time, sometimes even just a couple of months, your benefits may be canceled. In addition, if a state welfare agency finds that you received SNAP while living abroad, they could demand repayment. Practical tips if you plan to be away. So, what should you do if you need to spend significant time outside the U.S.? Here are 3 key strategies. Apply for a re-entry permit before leaving. This protects your green card for up to 2 years. Maintain strong ties to the U.S. Keep an American bank account and use it actively. File your U.S. tax returns every year as a resident. Maintain property ownership or a lease, and keep your mailing address in the U.S. These are powerful proofs that you haven't abandoned residency. Separate in your mind the difference between immigration status and benefits. Immigration status is handled by USCIS and CBP. Benefits are handled by Social Security and state welfare departments. Having a re-entry permit can help protect your green card, but it doesn't guarantee your benefits. Your residency may be intact, but SSI, Medicaid, or food stamps may still stop if you're not physically present. The bottom line: before you take a long trip, especially if you're considering being outside the U.S. for more than 6 months or even a year, do your homework. Review the rules of every benefit you receive. Make sure you file for a re-entry permit if necessary. And always keep evidence of your ties to the U.S. After all the years you've worked, paid taxes, and built your life here, you don't want to risk losing your status or your hard-earned benefits just because of one extended trip abroad. If this explanation has been helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll continue to cover more of these important topics in the next video.